we'll start. Boker Tov, Boker Tov, we're in Erev Tisha Behav, and the Shiur will definitely deal with Tisha Behav. You can, let's see, why isn't it shared? Can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Yofi. So I would like to discuss today the two versions. The famous story of Kamtza. Will deal with it, even though that we've dealt with it and everybody knows about the story from different perspectives. First of all, the first thing I would like to, not to read it, just to tell it orally, balpeh, and then to see that according to Chazal, there is no one person who is guilty, because the story starts with a person. We don't know what his name is, and apparently it says that that's a general situation in the Bayit Sheni, that that's a normal behavior. What we are about to say is not just Reuven or Shimon, it's the normal behavior. And his shamash, his servant, is sent to invite Kamtza, and instead he makes a foolish mistake and invites Bar Kamtza, and that's a first guilty person, but he's not guilty. He's just shoygeg, but he did it. Okay. And then the Baal Seuda is very angry to see Bar Kamtza instead of Kamtza, and he convinces him that he would stay, he would pay his own mana, his own share, he will pay double, he will pay half the manot of everybody, he'll pay all the Seuda, and even though he doesn't agree, and he kicks him out. And then you have the second guilt person, who is a Baal Seuda. For sure, his behavior is very bad. And we have the Chachomim, according to the Talmud Bavli, the Gemara and Gittin, that they sit there, don't say anything. Okay? And then they are the third person to be guilty because of their shtika, okay, being silent. And then Bar Kamtza is very jealous, is very offended, and he goes to the king or whatever of the Romans and tells him that Am Israel would make a rebellion, and to make a proof, he says that bring them a korban, and they won't bring it. And then there is a big discussion whether to bring the korban, not to bring the korban, and Reb Zcharia ben Avkulas, for almost the first time, he is mentioned just once in the Tosefta in Shabbat, but there he says no. He makes a pilpul, a discussion, a halachic discussion, and decides that if we kill him, everybody will think that if you put a mum in a korban, you might be killed. And therefore, he says, no, we won't kill him. And then he says, okay, so maybe lakriv et korban? No, because we cannot bring korban with a mum. At the end of the day, they bring the korban. He doesn't have any, he doesn't kick anybody, and then he doesn't kill him on his way, and then the whole thing is done. The whole Roman chaos on the Jews, whatever. Okay, we'll see. We have several versions to this Agoda. We know that in Masechet Gittin we have 3 pages, 3 blots of Agaditot, starting in Nun Hey, and then we have at length the Gemara goes from Bayit Rishon to Bayit Sheni with a lot of Agadot. Some of them you don't really know whether they are in Bayit Sheni or Bayit Rishon, but it's not clear. But we have several parallel versions in other places, in Yerushalmi, in Midrash Rabbah, Midrash Icha Rabbah, and I'll bring just the Girsa Eretz Israelit, okay, the Israeli version, because there are differences. So let's see now some things, and maybe we have a kesher. Sorry, I have my stuff. Maybe we have a kesher to what's going on nowadays, unfortunately, in Am Yisrael. So let's see. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan starts in the Bavli. Ma'u shekatuv. It's a posuk in Mishlei. Ashrei adam mefached tamid, ומקשה ליבו ייפול ברעה. So the רישה of the pasuk is אשרי אדם, blessed be a person who is always afraid. Okay, afraid of what? Afraid of his chatoim. He is afraid of the future. He is afraid of his outcome, the consequences of his deeds, whatever. ומקשה ליבו ייפול ברעה. So as we know now the story of Bar Kamtza, it's not very difficult to understand that the Seifa, ומקשה ליבו, a person with a hard heart, ייפול ברעה. Who is with hard heart? זה בעל הבית, because he has a לב קשה, כמו כבד לב פרעה. He is not convinced, even not by being paid. Okay? So that's a בעל הבית. But who is אשרי אדם מפחד תמיד? It's not clear. על קמצא ובר קמצא חרבה ירושלים, and we have to understand, according to the כותרת, the title of the Talmud Bavli, it's very weird, because the Bavli doesn't blame Chachomim, the Bavli doesn't blame the Baal Suda, the Bavli doesn't blames just Bar Kamtza, I can understand, but Kamtza, and Kamtza Nichora is the one that wasn't invited, okay, is a good one, okay, so why he is mentioned at all? So apparently, according to the Bavli, the main focus is not on Chachomim, and we can understand that the Bavli developing the koach of Chochma, developing the love of wisdom of Chachomim, of the koach HaTeira, and Chachamim of Babel, didn't like to blame Chachomim, even though that they are for sure should be blamed, they have guilt, and therefore the Bavli, at least at the title, doesn't mention their names. He mentions just the Kamtza or Bar Kamtza, meaning to say that the slight difference between Kamtza and Bar Kamtza made the whole situation. What does Kamtza or Bar Kamtza mean? Okay, so I translated the Gemara. We won't read it in Aramaic, but just in Hebrew. שאותו איש שאוהבו קמצא, ובעל ריבו בר קמצא, עשה סעודה. אמר לו לשמשו לכבד את קמצא, והלך, and mistakenly brought him בר קמצא. בא, ראה אותו שהיה יושב בסעודה. אמר לו, הרי אותו האיש, meaning you, בעל ריבו של אותו האיש, me. Okay, so look how he depicts it. He doesn't talk about himself and doesn't talk about him. We have a fight, but it's not me who hates you, it's him that hates him, okay? Talking in a third form enables him to stay with the hatred and don't feel, not to feel that it's his own subjective hatred, okay? And what do we see here? We see that you might hate people, you might hate other parties, you might hate other opinions. It's all good. Once it doesn't come to your Suda, to your personal issues, to your familiar issues, to your simches, that's fine. We can tolerate it that we have hatred between people. Once it comes to your Suda, once it comes that even in your smoches, you ruin your smoche and you get up in the middle of the wedding and you see somebody there and it disturbs you, that's the end of it. And I think that nowadays we have a lot of things like this because we have different opinions, it's fine. But once it comes to the family, when it comes to a couple, when it comes to friends, that they don't talk just because of the different opinions, and it comes to the intimate relations, that's very, very bad. Okay, so he sees and אמר לו, הואיל ובאתי, תניחני ואתן לך דמי מה שאוכל ואשתה. So before that, let's read the parallel source in the Midrash Rabbah Israeli version. מעשה באדם אחד מגדולי ירושלים שעשה סעודה. Okay, so we don't have the title אשרי אדם מפחד תמיד. We don't say קמצא ובר קמצא חרבה ירושלים, because according to the Midrash Rabbah, we'll blame other people. not Kamtza ובר Kamtza, not a slight difference between Kamtza and בר Kamtza. It's not just cynical mistake between Kamtza and בר Kamtza that let it all happen. It's something much deeper, and we see that the בעל הסעודה is אחד מגדולי ירושלים, and apparently we can assume who are the attendants by אחד מגדולי ירושלים in his סעודה. Probably the גדולי החכמים, probably the elites, etc. Okay, so הוא עשה סעודה, okay? We don't have the names of Kamtza ובר Kamtza, and we have the names אמר לנערו, לשמשו, maybe it's the same. לך הבא לי את בר Kamtza אוהבי. So pay attention to the names in the Midrash, not Kamtza and בר Kamtza, but בר Kamtza is the one that I like. Yep. הלך והביא לו את בר קמצורה שונאו. Okay, so let's discuss the names in the Bavli and the names in the Midrash Rabbah. When you have Kamtza and bar Kamtza, what does it mean? Okay, it's very weird that you have a friend called Shimon and you're the one that you hate is called Ben Shimon. It's very weird, okay, that Kamtza bar Kamtza. And if the Gemara uses the name of the father, bar Kamtza, for the second one, why shouldn't you use the name of the father of the first one? So the Maharal and others understand that it mustn't be real names. It's just codes. And you can say that Kamtza or bar Kamtza have seen such a perush that they are father and son. Okay, and he likes the father Kamtza. Sorry, he likes
both bar Kamtza. Shneim bar Kamtza.
No, according to the Yerushalmi, to the Midrash. I'm coming back to the Gittin.
Oh, you're going back.
Sorry. I'm coming back to Gittin, and then I'll see the Midrash. Sorry. So in Gittin, in the Bavli, we see Kamtza versus bar Kamtza, right? Okay. Yeah. So we have a father and a son. I don't like the father. Okay. Sorry, I like the father, but I don't like his son. I like Kamtza, but I don't like bar Kamtza. And that's, if it's true, says that the difference between Kamtza and bar Kamtza, now they are not even friends or different people with the same or very similar name. They are mamash relatives, and the difference between the father and the son is so extreme that one I like and the one I hate. So it says, it shows us the kotviyut, being in the poles, how I can hate one and like one at the same family. The Maharal understands that the word Kamtza meaning komets, nikmatzim, and he says it's like ant. He shows that the Targum Unkelus of ants, nemalim, is kmatzim, is Kamtza. And then he says, what do you see in nemalim? We see nemalim, so we have the mala is very charutza, nachon. It works all the winter, etc. But when you see nemalim, you don't see a personality. You see just much. When you go to the shul and kill in the middle 100 ants, there is no personal ant. You can say, you cannot say, oh, sorry, I've killed an ant called something, because it doesn't have a name. It's all the same, and that's what Am Yisrael is about. According over lachurban, Am Yisrael is just groups. I'll bring another perush of it. Yes. Kamtza reminds us of the comets, right? Kmitza, one of the avodot of Beit HaMikdash, dealing with the Menoches, was a kmitza. The Kohen comes and takes with his hand solet, and then he, with a finger, אסור שיהיה יותר מדי, אסור שיהיה פחות מדי, it has to be full, okay, with ככה, זה הקמיצה. And the Gemara in Menoches, Daf Yud Aleph, says that the very basic definition of the kmitza is לא פחות ולא יותר. Okay, that's a basic definition of the Kamtza, meaning it's subjective because I have, let's say, 10 centimeters of egrof, and you have 12 or you have 8. It doesn't matter. If we're different kohanim, we can bring subjective or different quantity, but it has to be mamash lefi, and mine has to be full, lo pachot velo yoter. And that means that I look at myself, I look at you like one unit. You are okay because you have 8 centimeters of a growth, it's fine. I am 12, it's fine. But I don't want anybody to get into my growth, and to anybody to get into my Kamtza. Lo pachot velo yoter. And that's what happens here. We have groups of people. They don't want to listen to each other. Okay? Lo pachot velo yoter. I don't mind that you're in your own chabure, but don't come to me. Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear from the outside anything. I just want to stay in what I am. And that's a problem according to the Bavli. Now let's go to the Yerushalmi. As you said, in the Yerushalmi, even the lover, the one that he likes, is bar Kamtza, okay? Okay, so you might see that it's not a real name, okay? Each Talmud or each Midrash chooses his codes to describe the two people. It might be versions, but it might be that it's just a code. So, but who is Kamtsura? Bar Kamtsura is the one that he hates. What does the word Kamtsura remind us of? So, if you know, we have, if you learned Baba Batra, we have Bar Metzra, a musag that is called Bar Metzra. What does it mean? It means that, let's say that I have a field, and from all the sides I'm surrounded by other fields, by my neighbors. You have your own field. He has his own field. Now you sell out your field, and I have the zchut rishona. Okay, I can be the first one to buy it at the same price, your field, because for me it's much better than for another person. For another person, it's just a field, it's just a neches, just an asset. While to me, it means widening my own field. Okay, so that's Bar Metzra. So according to, if this Porush is true, Bar Kamtsura means that he is my neighbor, and he is my neighbor, and I have a benefit out of it, that if I want to buy an apartment, if he sells out his apartment, I'll be the first one with a right to buy, okay? But instead, I hate him the most because he's my neighbor, okay? So according to the Midrash Eretz Israeli, it's not Kamtza ubar Kamtza, it's not a son and a father, it's not, it's just a hatred because of you are close to me. Okay, not like the Bavli that it's in hatred because you let me be a little bit more than I am or less than I am. According to the Midrash, it's just because you're a neighbor of mine. Okay. באו מצאו שיושב בין האורחים, I'll read now the Midrash. אמר לו, קום צא מכאן. Okay, pay attention, the difference here. In the Bavli, kum tze, get out. But in the Midrash is sharper. Kum tze mikan, get out of here. Okay. אמר לו, אל תוציאני בבושה. Okay? According to the Bavli, he doesn't mention his regashot. He just mentioned his, it's just, like merchandising. Instead of being a guest, he says, I want to be, soicher. I want to be a person that buys his own food, like in a restaurant, okay? But according to the Midrash, it's much more stressed out that he is really ashamed. And that's why he tells him, אל תוציאני בבושה. אמר לו, אי אפשר שלא תצא מכאן. It's much sharper. אמר לו, אני אתן לך את דמי הסעודה שלי ולא תוציאני בבושה. And another time, second time out of 3 that he mentions being ashamed of getting expelled out of in front of all the others. אמר לו, אני אתן כפליים מדמי הסעודה. It's not exactly what the Bavli says. The Bavli says, I'll give you all my סעודה. Here he gives him, he offers him to pay twice the whole סעודה, ולא תוציאני בבושה. 3 times בושה, בושה, בושה. 3 times he is ashamed. And instead of the Bavli, the Midrash is focused on the regashot, on how he feels, on the bad feelings that he has by being expelled. אמר לו, אי אפשר שלא תצא מכאן. Okay, so it's a long sentence. מכאן, the Bavli says that אחזו בידו והקימו והוציאו, meaning that he has taken him out and kicked him, is taken in his hand and threw him. In the Midrash is not mentioned. Okay. According to the Bavli, אמר, הואיל והיו חכמים, יושבים חכמים, ולא מיחו בו, נבין מזה שנוח להם. As I saw many חכמים sitting all around, and they didn't say anything, אלך ואלשין עליהם למלך. According to the Bavli, there are 2 kinds of חכמים, 2 guilty חכמים. One big group of חכמים that they sit, they don't do anything, but later on, we have Rav Zcharia ben Avkulas, maybe is one of them, maybe that says, okay, and he makes a whole halachic discussion. He say we cannot kill him, etc. According to the Midrash, there are not 2 groups, there are just one. Rav Zcharia ben Avkulas, he's the one guilt. והיה שם רב זכריה בן אבקולס, שהיה ספק בידו למחות ולא מיכה, כשיצא, אמר, האם אני יוצא בבושה 4th time, ומשאיר אותם יושבים בשלווה, ירד אצל המלך. Okay, so he went to be malshin, to say to the king of the Romans. Okay, let's go further. הלך, אמר לו לקיסר, מרדו בך היהודים, אמר לו מי יגיד, did you decide that they make a rebellion? אמר לו, שלח לך קורבן, תראה הם מקריבים אותו. Okay. According to the Bavli, what do they do? בזמן שבא, זרק בו מום בניב שפתיים, ויש אומרים בדוקין שבעין. מקום שלנו, to the Jews, הוא מום, ולהם אינו מום. So, as it's very clear, he cannot damage the korban, because even the Romans understand that the Caesar doesn't want to get a present with a defect, okay? So he understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like a korban with something wrong with 3 legs instead of 4. He understands that it's not nice to give such a korban to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he makes a mum, a slight mum, that for us, the Jews, it's a problem. For them, it's not a problem. But pay attention to what he chose. He chose mum beniv sfatayim, something in the lips, and something in the eye. I don't understand exactly what he's dukin shabayin, probably in the pupil or something like this, but okay, in the eye. What does it mean? It symbolizes that you had 2 problems. The first one with the sfatayim, was talking to me very aggressively and kicking me out of the meal. Okay, but the ayin, the indifference of Chachamim to sit and not to say anything. You know that Elie Wiesel, after the Holocaust, he has this famous sentence that the opposite of ahava is not sina, is just indifference. Okay. Because once you sit and don't do anything, so that's the main issue, okay? And
was Zcharia there at the Suda?
So according to the Midrash, Zcharia is the only one in the Suda, Keilu, okay? He is the only one who is mentioned. According to the Bavli, it's not very clear, because the first group of Chachomim, Nichora, Reb Zcharia ben Avkulas, is not one of them. I think that he was one of them, because later on, when they came to discuss with him, he knows exactly who the person is, so he probably was there. But in the Bavli, it's not stressed out. You might say that it's two different people, that it's a group of Chachamim, and then they go and discuss the Rav Rashi, whatever, for what to do, Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas. According to the Midrash, it's just one Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas. And let's again go to the beginning. As I said, according to the Bavli, Al Kamtza Bar Kamtza Charva Yerushalayim, according to the Midrash, Al Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas Charva Yerushalayim. Okay, because the Bavli has the beginning, Makshe libo yipol bara'a, meaning to say that at least the Seifa goes to the Baal HaSeuda. According to the Midrash Rabbah Eretz Israel, we don't have the title. So it's not a blame of the Baal HaSeuda, it's a blame on Chachamim. Okay?
Why is it a blame of the Chachamim? They dealt with this halachically, using rabbinic tools to decide what to do.
Exactly.
And he said,
exactly.
Why is it at all? That's the process of halacha.
Okay, but as we know in the Gemara in Yoma, that sometimes when somebody brought a knife and killed another Kohen on the Kevish, on the way to the Mizbeach, and the Chacham just discussed whether it's a Tome, it's a Kli Tome or not. So sometimes you cannot deal with Kelim of Halacha in a thing that is much bigger than the Halacha. Rav Israeli, in his Akdoma to Eretz Chemda book, says that Chachamim, according to the Bavli, they probably were vain and didn't look at the Am Haaretz, and therefore they look and the Baal HaSeuda, they sit there, eat from his good food, but they don't look at him as one that they have to talk to him. They speak halacha, the land, they make a pilpul. Okay, and maybe that's a kavona in the posuk, opening posuk of Makshe libo yipol bara'a and Ashrei Adam mefached tamid. So they're just discussing the halachic pilpulim, and they don't see what in front of them. Okay, according to Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas, it's more sharp because he discusses halacha, but he just sees, like black and white. He doesn't see the gray in between, and doesn't see the sakanot. It doesn't see the consequences of saying with a pure halacha. And as the Gemara says itself, lo charva Yerushalayim אלא על שדנו בדין תורה. It's a Gemara in Baba Metzia. So ממש, Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas done בדין Torah. He doesn't do anything bad, but that's a bad issue. Okay, so let's skip. We don't have much time. Let's skip a little bit. Okay. So here חשבו חכמים להקריב משום שלום מלכות. אמר להם רב זכריה בן אבקולס, יאמרו בעלי מומין קרבים על המזבח. You see that Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas, according to the Bavli, is not definitely one of the Chachamim. They come to him to ask a piece of advice, not more than that. He is not one of the sitters there, maybe not one of them. כיוון שראה אותם הכהן לא הקריבם, וכולי וכולי, ואיש שהיו הבריות אומרות, look how the Midrash ends, היא שהיו הבריות אומרות, okay, it's not what the Midrash wants to say, it's just what people say, בין קמצא ובין קמצורה חרב המקדש, okay? אמר רבי יוסי בר אבון, and that's what the Midrash himself says, ענוונותו של רב זכריה בן אבקולס שרפה את ההיכל. And pay attention to the word, either to the Bavli and to the ירושלמי, ענוונותו של רב זכריה בן אבקולס החריבה את ביתנו ושרפה את היכלנו. According to the Midrash, שרפה את ההיכל, the same thing. Look now at the beginning. על קמצא ובר קמצא חרבה ירושלים. Meaning to say that about Kamtza or Bar Kamtza, maybe Yerushalayim Charva, but according to Reb Zchariah ben Avkulas, the Mikdash Charev, okay? And if you ask it, so Limud Torah that doesn't come to real life, okay? It's not it's much more than that. It's a Churban of Eichal. It's a Churban of the spiritual meaning of Torah. I want just now to skip and to see something in Nedorim. There is another סיפור, not related to Kamtza and Bar Kamtza. Look, Rebbe עשה חתונה לבנו רבי שמעון. Rebbe made a wedding to his son. וכתב על בית הנישואין, he spent a lot of money about wedding, ולא הזמין רבי את בר כפרה לחתונה. Why? Maybe he was angry at him? It's not clear. אמר לו בר כפרה, אם לעוברי רצונו משפיע הקדוש ברוך הוא טובה כל כך, לעושי רצונו על אחת כמה וכמה שישפיע הקדוש ברוך הוא טובה. So here you see the difference between בר כפרה and בר קמצא. בר קמצא sits and doesn't try to solve the problem. He's just he tries with בעל הסעודה, but later on not him and בוודאי לא בעל הסעודה, they don't talk with each other. Here בר כפרה is very offended. He wasn't your best friend, Rebbe, my best friend didn't invite me to his wedding. So what can I do? I can sit in my place and be angry and start with psychological discussions. Why didn't he invite me, etc. But I can just go to him and tells him very sharply, according to the Bavli, Im le'ovrei retzono, if you are such a bad person and you have so much money, what would you have if you be a good person? So he says it explicitly in front of Rebbe that you didn't invite me to the Seuda, okay? לבסוף, הזמין Rebbe את בר כפרה לסעודה. Okay, so I don't know why he chose not to, but at the end he did it. אמר בר כפרה, אם לעושי רצונו יש בעולם הזה כל כך הרבה טובה, הרי שלעולם הבא על אחת כמה וכמה. Meaning to say that בר כפרה shows us the real direction to confront the issues. Once you have somebody that didn't invite you, go and talk to him. Don't leave it in a place that it's just in your heart and then it all explodes. So that's what happened with בר כפרה. And now let's go and see גרסה ארץ ישראלית in ויקרא רבה. שמעון בי רבי, okay? So עשה סעודה למשתה בנו. So it's שמעון בנו של רבי to his son. Okay. הלך וקרא לכל רבותינו ושכח לקרוא לבר כפרה. So according to the Midrash, it's just a mistake. It didn't have any כוונה. According to the Bavli, it's not clear, but according to the Midrash, it's just שכח. He forgot to ask to call בר כפרה. הלך בר כפרה וכתב על דלתו. So he writes on his name. He makes a graffiti on his door. Okay. אחד שמחתך, אחר שמחתך מוות. ומה יתרון לשמחתך? So he brings him a philosophical sentence or something like Aristotle looking on life. We're all going to die. So what's the benefit of of being happy? Okay? So meaning to say that אמר מי עשה לי זה? יש מי שלא קראנו. רב שמעון sees a graffiti and says who is it? אמרו לו בר כפרה, ששכחת לקרוא לו. אמר, לקרוא עכשיו לבדו שנוא, it's not nice. הלך ועשה סעודה אחרת וקרא לכל רבותינו, וקרא לו. Okay, so first of all, because of the graffiti, even that it looks like a weird way, but he has solved the confrontation. And then look how בר כפרה takes his revenge. כל תבשיל ותבשיל שהיו מביאים לפניו, היה בר כפרה אומר עליו 300 משלי שואלים, ולא היו תואמים את התבשיל משום שהיה צונן. So they bring food, the food is hot and very delicious, and he starts giving a drasha, talks 2 hours. After 2 hours, you cannot eat, it's cold. Okay? והיו מוציאים כל תבשיל ותבשיל. אמר רב שמעון לשמשו, על מה התבשילים שלמים? אמר לו, זקן אחד, I read fast because we don't have time, זקן אחד יושב שם והוא אומר על כל תבשיל ותבשיל, כן, עד שהם נעשים שני צננים, he ruins all the food because he talks. Everybody cannot eat. So he asked him, why are you doing it? אמר לו, וכי לסעודתך אני צריך? לא כך אמר שלמה, מה יתרון לאדם בכל עמלו שיעמול תחת השמש, okay? So בר כפרה, after being invited, tells him another stage. I don't need your food, I want your friendship. ואז נתפייסו זה עם זה ועשו שלום. Okay? So here you see ממש a psychological way how to solve the issue. First of all, he solves the issue by making graffiti. Then he makes Rab Shimon, according to the Midrash, to invite him. Okay? But then he goes into a deeper level. He says it's not only just the invitation. I don't want just to attend and to sit in your meal. That's not the issue. I don't need your food. I want you to feel that you are my friend. And at the end of the day, they make a piyus, they make a shalom, and then they're friends, and then it comes with a shalva. So if we sum up, we saw that in the Bavli we have many guilty people, but the Bavli stresses out gently in order to hide the Chachamim, so he says that it's Bar Kamtza or Bar Kamtza Charva Yerushalayim. While in the Midrash, we see that the main thing, just people say that Al Kamtza or Bar Kartzura Charva Yerushalayim, but then the real issue is the Chachamim, the Rav Zchariah ben Avkulas, that he ruined the real Mikdash, not just Yerushalayim. And we saw as well that we have in another difference between the Bavli and the Midrash regarding to the Seudah of Rebbe or Rab Shimon Bno, that we see how the Bavli says very shortly just the main details of the story, while the Midrash brings us a whole psychological solution, how you solve it by speaking, by talking, and Ezrat Hashem Shenizkeh, that will speak to each other, and we won't leave groups, kmatzim, lo yoter velo pachot, will be able to listen to each other, to be more, to be less, according to getting one from each other, and that will be Ezrat Hashem, the end of Sinat Chinam. So what you thought?
תודה רבה.
תודה לכם. להתראות.
Good.